Hello and welcome back to the Shed Geek Podcast. Here's a message from our 2025 studio sponsor. Let's be real. Running a shed business today isn't just about building great sheds. The industry is changing fast. We're all feeling the squeeze, competing for fewer buyers while expectations keep climbing. And yet, I hear from many of you that you are still juggling spreadsheets, clunky software, or disconnected systems. You're spending more time managing chaos than actually growing your business. That's why I want to talk to you about our studio sponsor, ShedPro. If you're not already using them, I really think you should check them out. ShedPro combines your 3D configurator, point of sale, RTO contracts, inventory, deliveries, and dealer tools all in one platform. They even integrate cleanly into our Shed Geek marketing solutions. From website lead to final delivery, you can quote, contract, collect payment, and schedule delivery in one clean workflow. No more double entries, no more back and forth chaos. Quoting is faster, orders are cleaner. And instead of chasing down paperwork, you're actually running your business. And if you mention Shed Geek, you'll get 25% off all setup fees. Check it out at shedpro.co/ShedGeek. Thank you, ShedPro, for being our studio sponsor, and honestly, for building something that helps the industry.
Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek Podcast. And my, is this overdue? I feel like I've reached out to you 3 times, and I've never done a good job of follow-up. So maybe that says a lot about my need for improved communication, Nick. So thank you for meeting with us here today. It's been, I think it was year 1 when Kyle was still with me the last time we interviewed you. It's been a while.
Yeah.
We're in year 5 now. We need to make this an annual thing. So
hey, I'm happy to come anytime. This is a great resource for the industry, and we certainly appreciate what you do and what this podcast means for the industry. So yeah, anytime you need us, we'll be here for you.
Well, it's honestly, it's been a lot of fun, and it's really it's a fun industry to be in. So I appreciate those kind words, and I'll tell you the same thing I tell everyone else. I'll put a check in the mailbox for you on that note. So, but the reality is, I'm here with, as I am in most situations, maybe all situations, I'm here with someone smarter than me that I get to learn from, and that's why we get to do this and have fun doing these interviews. But for those who don't know you, let's start there. Who are you? What do you do? How did you wind up in the shed industry or have any relation to the shed industry, for those who don't know you?
Yeah, it's a good story. My name's Nick Garrard. I'm an attorney in Jackson, Mississippi. I do work kind of all over now for a lot of different people in the rent-to-own industry, specifically with the sheds. But I'm based in Jackson, and I started in 2013, I guess, maybe 2012, with kind of a referral from a friend of a friend type deal, and just to handle a little issue with a rent-own shed. And I thought, well, this is kind of interesting. Sure, I'll help you out. And that one file turned into 2, turned into 4, and then 8 and 16. So it just grew and grew. And over the past 12 years or so, it has become a, if not certainly probably the biggest part of my legal practice. I do some other work too. With our firm, we do some insurance defense, workers' comp defense, but this takes up, I'd say, at least 50% or more of my work, and it's been great. I came to my first
for a larger shed manufacturer back probably around the same time, and kind of learned about, how there's a sales side, a manufacturing side, this purchasing side, this logistics side. But then it was like, well, what about that financing side, where or there's payment options, and then it's been like this long journey inside of that. And I was sort of approached to help grow a network, an RTO network in the Midwest,
Hmm.
and after that, it was just, you know, uh, caution to the wind, I guess you'd say. Jumped
Right.
right in and started. And the one thing I noticed going from place to place is that people would ask a lot of the same questions, and a lot, and wanted to pull on the experiences of others. And um, it just,
Hmm.
one guy asked me one time, he said, "Where can I find more resources?"
Yeah.
And and I get in the car and I'm listening to podcasts and audiobooks and music, and podcasts probably more than anything. And I'm like, man, no one's done a podcast
Hmm.
over the shed industry. It just seems like, especially as competitive as rent owns become
Yeah.
since, the last few years, especially 5, 6 years, it was like, it seemed like a relationship building was very necessary,
Hmm.
because there's a lot of relationship building and long-term relationship building in this industry. And it was like, if you just show up and you sign somebody up, that might not always be the best thing. Uh,
No, exactly. I'm kind of like you. I was trying to figure out sort of how it all fit together in the beginning too, and who the different players are and what the yeah how it all fits together. It's just a learning curve in the beginning, and yeah, it was hard. It was difficult, I'd say, in the beginning because of that, um, not knowing sort of the relationships behind the scenes and what was going on, and yeah, so the podcast became a great resource for that. Yeah, and then just showing up, going to the meetings, going to went to an A-Pro event, um, and just it was like a big puzzle. You started putting the pieces together and figuring out, "Hey, this is a much bigger industry and than what I initially realized." And yeah, it just carried on. It's pretty
yeah,
interesting.
it is. It really is. And I wrote down on here A Pro because I
Hmm.
wanted to touch on that, but I thought, since you brought it up, let's just dive right into that.
Are your shed sales down? Maybe you heard the latest news. Shed Geek and Shed Hub are now working together for the benefit of the shed industry. That's right, Shed Geek is now a managing partner for Shed Hub. One thing we want to instill immediately is your confidence in this service. The Shed Geek and Shed Hub collaborative effort means you will get the same trusted visibility from the awesome SEO efforts already created by the Shed Hub team, while resting in the fact that Shed Geek will be streamlining the seller interface, website, and overall simplicity of the service. Shed Hub has already done the work to ensure that we are the most visible shed shopping website. And here are the analytics to prove that. During the month of March 2025, Shed Hub had over 2 million impressions and over 41,000 clicks from search. This means someone is on the Shed Hub site every 60 seconds shopping for a shed. Why not have your sheds visible for just $39 per month? You can get signed up today by going to www.getshedhub.com. Once you sign up, a customer representative will reach out within 1 to 2 business days to ensure that you are onboarded and understand the program completely. Don't wait. Sell more sheds today using shedhub.com by going to www.getshedhub.com.
Hmm.
Can you give a little synopsis of A Pro and then NSRA, how the two differ, but how they serve sort of in the same capacity of rental? We're just, sort of a one product side of
Yeah.
that. And like, can
Hmm.
you elaborate on that a little?
Yeah. APRO, the Association of Progressive Rental Organizations, is sort of our, that's the big umbrella organization for the rent to own industry. It is it's a large national organization, and it's been around for a long time. And it serves a wider variety of rent-to-own organizations. I think of it primarily with the large rent-to-own businesses, but it's a wide variety of people, and from furniture, TV and appliances to equipment, and just pretty much the gamut of rent to own properties. Probably not any real property. I don't think. I don't think there's any. There are some real property like rent to own house people out there, but that's really a totally different transaction. It really is not what we're focused on. But anyway, yeah, APRO is the larger organization. Ed Wynn has been a general counsel for that. He's been my, I'd say, mentor and really helped me to understand a lot of what's going on. And I went to one of their meetings. I'm planning to go this summer to Omaha for their next meeting, which will be great. I'm looking forward to that. And then we fall, the NSRA now, National Shed Rental Association, is underneath the, I would say, APRO umbrella. So we're a smaller rent-to-own trade association that really focuses on shed manufacturers, dealers, and rent-to-own companies in the shed space. So backyard storage buildings, and there's kennels and chicken coops and whatever else you want to build and store things in that we'll call a shed. Really, we're here to serve that industry, and that's the focus of this particular group, and it's where I've done the vast majority of my work since getting involved. That's sort of the difference, I think.
And I feel like, you think about the origin of that. I think I heard one person ask me the question in the talks about NSRA is, would we consider ourselves an event or an organization? How would you describe that? Like, because
Yeah,
there's a lot of benefit that comes out of the NSRA, and like they have an annual meeting. They have that before the Shed Expo,
right.
during Shed Week, hosted by the guys over at Shed Business Journal.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's an event there that you can attend. You pay to attend, and there's breakout sessions or speakers. I've had some of the most awesome speakers in the last couple of years. But what is the purpose of like what it serves?
Well, and it's a good question. It's a good time to talk about it because you're right. In the past, NBSRA or NSRA has been a conference. I mean, that's been really what the organization association did was we put on a conference every year. And in the past, after COVID, I guess we started. I think there was maybe one year we had to miss. I can't remember. Then after that, maybe since 21, we've been sort of piggybacking with the Shed Expo. But before that, it was just a standalone conference we did, and that was really what we did. It was that one conference. But starting last year, the board met, and I mean, it's a great board of industry leaders. They are the best people to work with. They make my job as their attorney very easy. And they decided they really wanted to transform the association into something more than just an annual meeting. They wanted to have member benefits, member meetings, more options for members. So have a full membership section, and really think of ways that the association could impact the industry in the next 3, 5, 7 years, what our goals are and how to meet those goals. So we've had several in-person meetings. We have Zoom meetings regularly. In fact, I just got off one this morning with some guys and Tanner and some other guys with the association that are helping put together our new website, our new membership portal, what that's going to look like, what we're going to be able to offer for members. And it's really good, really exciting. The ideas that have kind of come up from this have been incredible. I think you're going to see an association that really values its members and really looks to provide value to the members. We've got several videos on tap that will be available. We've got other resources, legal resources. We're hoping to have some vendor contacts and vendor value to add, and the list goes on. It's gonna transform our association from just a meeting in the fall to a year-round organization that provides value to the members, and that's where we're headed. So yeah, where we've been is is different. It was a once a year meeting, and we're really trying to transform that, and it's going to happen. It's going to be great. We want to have membership offerings available, and sign you up, get you a NSRA member button or pin or logo for your website. We want you to promote that you are a member of the association, so that to hold each other accountable and make sure that the industry is moving in a positive direction for everybody. So that's where we've been. The future is very bright. It's going to be awesome with all the guys that are involved in it. You're going to be really impressed.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to it. We've typically attended every year, and like I said, enjoyed it. And for those who are looking to be in RTO, and some of that discussion gets wide, right? Like it could be a manufacturer, who wants to maintain vertical integration, or it could be just a third party that's attempting to get into that world. And is it fair to say that the transparency of a program like the NSRA, sort of, to use your word, helps us to be accountable as an industry to itself in many ways, as opposed to having the governing authority just be the APRO as the big umbrella? There's kind of like this intentionality of being, like just accountable to each other as an industry first. Yeah. Is that fair to say?
I think that's true. Yeah, I mean, one thing to think of too is, knock on wood, we've avoided a lot of government oversight and overreach. And if we can hold each other accountable, be a solid organization, do the right things, there's a place for everybody, that wants to be in. I mean, there's room to grow. There's room, the industry's continuing to grow. And I think that having an association that's strong and that has powerful members within the within the industry, keep each other, help each other, look out for pitfalls, look out for things that are popping up across the country. We can hopefully avoid some other watchdog group coming in behind us and telling us we're not doing things right. And so being proactive in that regard, I think, is going to be important as we move forward, certainly in the next 10 years as we continue to grow. It's going to, yeah. So I think that's a good way to put it. What you said is accountability and watching out for each other and helping each other, really.
Are you ready to elevate your shed business to new heights? Your pathway to success just got a whole lot smoother with ShedSuite's innovative marketing platform. At ShedSuite, we like to think we understand the shed industry at least a little bit. And over the last 7 years, we've been building awesome software for shed businesses. We focus first on building easy-to-use software to help you create and track orders, like the point of sale and after the sale order fulfillment. And now we're excited to announce our full-feature CRM, all things pre-sale, like prospecting and follow-up, all to empower your shed company to market better and sell more efficiently. Our platform empowers you with a marketing toolkit designed to amplify your online presence, engage your audience, and drive sales like never before. Enjoy the ease of conversion tracking, email marketing, centralized lead communication, and so much more. Oh, and guess what? It even comes with an iPhone and an Android app. With ShedSuite's marketing platform, crafting and deploying effective marketing campaigns is a breeze. The advanced reporting functionality allows your team to analyze real-time conversion data so you can make informed decisions and watch your business flourish. There's no better time than now to join the community of shed business owners who are scaling up with ShedSuite. It's time to turn your marketing efforts into real trackable results. Visit shedsuite.com/marketing to get pricing, explore the features, and book a demo. ShedSuite is committed to building top quality software to empower your shed business to thrive.
So the difficult questions come now. I suspect that you being a lawyer, you're used to that. And look, Nick, don't outwit me on my own show, okay?
Okay.
You gotta give me a little grace here. But on a serious note, a question that I get asked maybe, say, in private. How would you address this question? The membership is made up of those who also serve the industry. What kind of accountability exists for us as competitors to come together with like this spirit of cooperation? What can we do, to help make sure that is not just in the background, like, true and tested and all of the meets all of the accountability standards, but even in the foreground, the optics of the industry or the organization and what it's doing. What are your thoughts there?
One thing that we really promote and push is the idea of fair and open competition. We believe in that. We believe in organizations and their ability to run their businesses and work how they see fit. We're certainly not trying to control that or make people do things a certain way or anything like that. But we have an idea for an organization that has goals and has a code of conduct, I would say, and best practices, some of the ways that you can, as a member organization, these are the ideas that we believe in and promote, not in any way to limit competition, which is vital and critical that stays fair and open and honest. But just developing a sense of best practices for the industry as a whole, I think, is really the way to approach that.
No, I think that's evident. Seems to be, if you go to the events, like we've attended the events, I certainly encourage people to attend the events because it's not just what you can learn individually or benefit from your own company, but it's really about being as strong as your weakest link, right? And like the industry as a whole, sort of benefiting from the spirit of cooperation, of working together for what's best for the customer, what's best for, the B2C and the B2B side.
Mm-hmm.
And so like if someone, like we've still got a ways to go here, but I might as well throw this in there. If someone wants to go, if someone wants to attend, or even if someone wants to be involved, whether that's a board member, or planning committee, all these different things. What are, how do they throw their hat in that ring? How do they make it to the event? What does that look like? And then like, what if they want to be more involved or choose to be more involved? What does that look
Yeah,
like?
I was pulling this up, but so currently we still have the website is nbsra.com. That's going to be changing in the near future. The new website's called thensra.com, thensra.com. And there's a conference button at the top where you can click and register now to attend the conference. So that's up and live, which is great. And what we'll do is, if you want to be more involved, we take nominations for the advisory board and the board. I guess we just the board is what I should say. We take nominations in. We'll do that at the conference. We'll have that all set up, and there will be other opportunities between now and the conference when we launch the membership section, which will launch between. I'm not going to give you a hard day yet, but it's coming. Don't hold me to it, but I think it'll be in July.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll see.
You can edit that out if it doesn't happen.
We'll just have you say, we'll have your mouth move differently and say August, and I'll put my voice in there.
That's right. You can put a puppet over me or something. But yeah, between now and the conference, I'd say there will be email blasts, social media blasts. We're really amping up that push through the summer, and that will give you a variety of ways to get involved. It'll give you all the info about the conference. They have put together a dynamic lineup. Not sure that we have the ability to announce all of that yet, but it is coming and it is going to be fantastic. We've had great speakers the past several years, and this year's going to be no different. We're going even higher and higher and higher, over and above, I think. So you want to go ahead and purchase your conference tickets now so we don't sell out, which we intend to sell out. That's the plan. So purchase them early, be ready. We'll be in Knoxville in September, and it's going to be a great show.
And this is beneficial to all in the industry, wouldn't you say, Nick? So like those who are in rent to own, provide rent to own, either as a standalone company or a manufacturer, but even beneficial to salespeople.
Yep.
Who sell on sell products through rent to own. It's beneficial to all
drivers,
haulers. Yeah,
haulers,
absolutely.
Yeah. We've had an emphasis on that in the past, and manufacturers. Yeah, I mean, really anybody that touches the industry, accountants, lawyers. I know we don't want to talk about lawyers too much.
We'll throw in. Do we throw in an applause or do we throw in a boo? I'm not sure. For Nick, for you, we're going to throw in an applause. For the rest of them, we'll throw in a boo. We hear such good things about you as we talk to other people in the industry. I just told a guy I was getting ready to hop on a podcast with you, and he's like, "Oh, I like that guy. He's helped me out a lot,
Oh,
so.
good. Well, I appreciate that. I don't like to, I'd rather you not have to call me. I'd rather you not do something, I hope all of your customers pay on time and never file bankruptcy, and your contracts are magically updated. But in the event that something happens, we like to be there to help.
I had a question the other day I thought would make a lot of sense to ask you that. Um, Bootleg, is that the right word? Bootleg contracts. Like I'm gonna establish that term if it's not, but
Mhm.
contracts that are, created by your office for a manufacturer or an RTO company who is doing business in that state. How transferable are those? What is your advice to those contracts? Are they very similar? Or is there a reason to have you on retainer and not just bootleg that contract in the sense
Yeah.
that if someone else gets it and then something changes, they think they're legal, but well, what if they're not?
Yeah, exactly. That's become a bigger issue really in the past couple of years even. There are a handful of states, whose rent to own statute. There's only, I think, 3 states that don't have a rent to own statute. Could be 4. Don't quote me, but the vast majority of states do. And there's a handful of states where, you could, if you had a general enough contract and general enough language, it might work. And if you're in, it works in your state, it might work in a few others, but that is definitely, I would say, the exception, not the rule. And you're running into a big risk. So it's a big risk because a lot of the states have statutory enforcement provisions. So if something's wrong with your contract, if you're collecting more money than is allowed by the statutes in that state, or you're collecting a certain fee that's not allowed by the statutes, some of the states have provisions that say contracts void, customer owns building, period. So if they raise it, were to take you to court, you got to think about it. Not only that customer, but now you've got 100 other contracts out there. So all of a sudden, some plaintiff's lawyer starts sniffing around and goes, "Hey, I can get every one of my clients a free shed because this shed company didn't have the right language in their contract." All of a sudden, you've lost 100 sheds. There's some states that have mandatory enforcement provisions for like where the customer's entitled to actual damages, attorney's fees, and then a statutory penalty on top of that, say up to $1,000. And you start again. You have 100 contracts, and you've got $1,000 penalty on each. It's going to be a lot of zeros on that check you got to write, and that's never fun, never good.
Hello, Shed and Carport industry. I'm Cord Cook, Chief Brand Strategist here at Shed Geek Marketing. Did you know that Shed Geek Marketing works with 45 shed companies and counting? And we are not slowing down in 2025. One of the neat benefits to working with Shed Geek Marketing is working with an agency as opposed to just an individual. When you work with Shed Geek Marketing, you have a team of professionals working diligently to ensure your success. From branding guidelines and brand books to websites, Google and Meta tag tracking that measures the traffic to your website and social media pages, CRM setup and full automation build-outs, lead funnel integration, and so much more. Worried about whether or not we can serve you? Don't be. Shed Geek Marketing works with manufacturers ranging from $1 million a year in sales up to $80 million a year in sales. There is no manufacturer too big or too small. Remember, marketing is an investment that should be making you money. That's why nearly 50 companies have decided to work with Shed Geek Marketing. So for more information, go to www.shedgeek.com and submit some basic information, and we'll reach out with a discovery call and patiently walk you through how we can best serve you. Thank you for your time and look forward to working with you.
So all that to say, it doesn't, what is it? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I mean,
yeah.
That's really what we're talking about here. It is really important that you make sure your contract in each state satisfies the statutory provisions for that state. And if you're selling or leasing buildings across state lines, you need to make sure that you have them set up in each state. Some states require you to do some registrations with the state's Secretary of State or taxation office. In some cases where you have to register and specify that you're in the rent-to-own industry, and you've got to turn over, some documents to show them what you're doing. Some states are more difficult, I'd say, than others. Some have more specific provisions, and even like how the contract has to be laid out, what language has to be included, what you can charge for and what you can't, caps on rent to own cost over the cash price, caps on cash price. I mean, it's a lot of stuff from state to state. So each state is different. No two states that I can think of off the top of my head are exactly alike. Some just have very specific requirements, and some are very general, and you can probably find. But it is so important to get that done. It's not gonna, have a lawyer look over that or get somebody that to do it for you. I mean, it's really not gonna. It's gonna. Well, I'll say it'll be a lot less costly to do it that way than to get popped on the back end. So that is critical, and I'm glad you brought it up.
Well, it just, you just hear different conversations that you have with folks that, we're constantly growing and learning and trying to do better. And, sometimes the path of least resistance is maybe the cheapest, like you said now, but ultimately there's a cost to that. And honestly, you're the professional in this, you're knowledgeable about this. And that's why it's good for people to take the opinion of that, the person that works in that. And that's a service that costs business and it's well deserved. So we're appreciative of that, like anyone else. But so what are some things you're seeing now, outside of, government oversight, government provision that always has this looming, boot that's going to drop on us, outside of that, what are things that you see that you can share here today? Maybe you can even tease them so that they come to the NSRA event, but some knowledge that you can share with people. What are some things that you see that are the most damaging that are being done right now? Things that just need to be reversed, things that can be corrected. If you're addressing the industry, and especially those who work in RTO, what's something you could share today that you would really want to get across?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, and we hit on one. That's the contracts for sure. One thing that always comes up too is this idea of, when you go to pick up your building, what can I do to get my building? And there's this thing called the breach of the peace. And, what is that? And it's a good question because nobody seems to be able to define it. It's just a term of art almost in the legal world. And what's funny is, I've said this before, but there's in most of the state statutes, they talk about being able to, if your customer defaults, stops paying, doesn't renew the lease, you can go get your building. Now, sometimes you've got to send them a letter. You got to give them some sort of a notice. Sometimes some states it doesn't matter. You can just go get it. But I would say universally, they say you can't breach the peace in getting your shed. And somebody asked me one time, well, could we just put in our contract that we are allowed to breach the peace? And I said, no, we can't do that either, because the statutes actually specify that you can't do that. Your contract cannot say we're entitled to breach the peace and get our shed back. So that's not allowed. And we did at a conference maybe 2 years ago. We did a little breakout session about this, but it just, it's just a good yearly reminders. Generally don't cut locks, don't take down fences, don't move stuff out of the way. If you can get to your shed, and it's open and good, you're probably fine. But much beyond that, or if the customer comes out and says, you can't get this shed today, you're bumping up against what is a breach of the peace. It's a very low bar, I would say. And so, again, hate to be the lawyer, but if you were to call me and ask me, hey, can we go get this shed? I would probably say no. If you're asking my opinion. So that's definitely one thing to always keep in mind. Should I just go get a writ of possession, file a little suit for possession, and then you're safe. Then you're safe to get your stuff. So that pops up. Excuse me. Bankruptcies are up. I've seen a lot more bankruptcies lately. And, with that, the other thing I always tell people, one, file your proof of claim on time. I've got forms for you. I've got a video I did to show you what to do. You can do a lot of that stuff on your own. And then two is, as soon as the customer files bankruptcy, there is an automatic stay in place. So you cannot go get your building. You can't really even call them and tell them they got to pay. It really just puts a pause on the whole transaction. In a perfect world, they would continue to pay you because a lease has to be either paid or rejected and surrendered, but it's not always a perfect world. And so, you can't go get it.
Oh no.
Sam, what's going on? Are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine, Lisa. I was just trying to get a screwdriver and all this other stuff fell down. I'm ready to go buy a shed so we can have some space in this garage again.
I agree. I keep looking at the shed Mr. Jenkins bought. Let's ask him where I got his.
Howdy, neighbor. We're wondering, how do you like your shed?
I love it. It's exactly what I needed, and I couldn't have asked for a better service.
And where did you get it?
I can't remember, but let me check. Something this nice will probably have the builder's name on it somewhere. No, I'm sorry. I can't find a name anywhere.
Well, we finally got a shed.
Yes, I just hope we're happy. The thing is a lot more shoddy than I expected, and I'm sure I told them I wanted a window, but they didn't have it in the paperwork, so I couldn't argue. Boy, is this a lousy shed. We haven't even had it 2 years, have we?
Barely. It was just a bad deal all the way around. Mr. Jenkins told me the other day that he likes his shed so much he wants to get a second one, but he still can't remember where he got it.
Your product is your best advertising, At Identigrow, we provide nameplates that ensure your quality products are never forgotten. Identify your products, grow your business. For more information, visit identigrow.com.
What happens sometimes is a a customer will forget, oh, I forgot I had that shed back there when I filed my bankruptcy, and I forgot to tell my lawyer about it. And so the shed company doesn't know about it, and they go and get it. Well, I mean, technically, this even though they didn't have notice, there's still a stay issue. So getting on Pacer, which is the federal court database, searching your customer, making sure there's not a bankruptcy case out there, just double checking. So stuff like that, staying on top of your customers. Don't let the counts get, 60, 90 days past due. That's when we see a lot of issues. Sheds go missing or they're stolen or sold. So I would say those are my biggest 3-4 areas that are just, a constant in this, in my side of the business.
Because I wrote down trends here because we initially discussed trends. Lost buildings, stolen buildings, theft rings.
Yeah.
Those are real conversations in the shed world, and probably especially in the RTO world.
Mm-hmm.
What comes to mind whenever you hear those terms?
Just education with your dealers and knowing who you're dealing with. Making sure you do your due diligence on who your partners are and who you are choosing to partner with. doing some background research. A deal is too good to be true. It probably is. And yeah, I mean, I hear of those things out there. I don't have a lot of direct knowledge or work in a lot of that stuff, but I know it's out there. I know it's a real concern. And it seems like, from what I know and the ones I've worked with or helped or whatever, it comes down to, we didn't know enough about that guy or this group or whatever, and there was some shady dealings going on with them. And, it just is a learning opportunity.
So you said earlier, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I find that to be educational side seems to be, it's always the part that we missed, right? That educational piece to trying to prevent some of these things. I think that's, to me, I see the NSRA as much of that, is trying to help create that educational segment. It seems to be, what the part of the process is there for your attendance, and sounds like maybe for your membership, which is going to be a new thing, to be able to actually be a member. I think about other trade associations like, the rent-to-own, the way they've done it, but like, a builder association, a building association, a selling association, a hauling association, all of these different things that are, meant to work in collaboration with other organizations or other associations within the industry to help, just to help us serve better, help us be better as an organization. We're an industry that seems to be moving from our baby years to our toddler years to pretty soon being a full grown up, industry if we're not careful. And it's kind of neat to watch because it's so much different now than it was when I was first exposed to it. With that comes increased competition, and all these different things. And we really see an increase in competition in rent to own. This may not be in the world that you play in. I'm not sure, but I'm curious that from a legal perspective, on the record here, on the record, we're like Greta. We're bringing you on the record, okay?
Okay.
What are your thoughts, or do you have any as to where rent to own's going with all the different bells and whistles nowadays? 90 days, same as cash, 6 months, same as cash, 12 months, same as cash, 72-month contracts, dealer
Yeah.
premiums. Do you
Yeah.
have any thoughts on any of these things, or do they matter in that legal world for you?
Only this, and that is if it's an option in that state that you're working in, then let's try it out and see how it does. And again, it comes back to the competition, free and open competition. One company's going to try something a little different. Let's see if it works. And then another company tries something else. Let's see if it works. So I'm for innovation, and the idea that just because we've done it one way doesn't mean we have to continue doing it that way. I'm a Cubs fan, and they lost for 108 years. And finally they went, let's do something different. And they won the World Series. So I like, well, I shouldn't say I like change, because really I'm not. I'm a creature of habit. But I like innovation in this industry, and because we can't stay where we are and just stay stagnant. I think it's important to grow and change and update, but to do so in a way that really continues to bring focus to the customer. What we're trying to do, I think, is offer customers the opportunity to have a product that maybe they wouldn't otherwise be able to afford or couldn't purchase on their own. So you're providing a service to the customers, and if our association keeps that in mind, with a focus on doing the right thing, doing things open and honest and above board, then the innovation that comes from it, I think, will just blossom. I mean, we're just going to continue to grow and expand. So, let's try it. If somebody has an idea and wants to run with it and pursue it, I'm open for it, and I encourage it.
Are you a dealer who sells multiple products at your shed lot? Are you tired of sifting through clunky or overcomplicated softwares to simply sell a product? If so, it's time to call Cal. Consumer Aligned Logistics is the affordable, simplified, and scalable solution for your shed, carport, or even RTO company. We are partnered with Idea Room and Shed Pro for configurators, and have multiple RTO partners to choose from JMag to Heartland to Shed Geek Rentals and Scott's RTO. And if your partner isn't listed here, just ask. We are happy to add more. Give us a call at 425-359-3279 or visit calcanhelp.com. That's CALCANHELP.com.
I want to tease you about being a Cubs fan, because I grew up at Cardinal Country, just to be clear. And I'm smart enough not to tease you about that right now. So
That's right.
Ryan Sandberg was still one of my favorite players of all time growing up, and Mark
yeah.
Grace. But I've just
My
been
favorite.
I've just been an Ozzie and Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina guy for so long that, but Ryan Sandberg still holds a place as my favorite second baseman. And I can't really speak on much. I have for the last 108 years. The Cubs were not doing good. Well, my Cardinals,
Right.
I sure can't say too much right now because you guys are leading in our division. But
They're
that's
doing well.
awesome. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I love talking baseball because it's a passion of mine growing
Yes.
up just as much as sheds has become in my my later years here. But
Yep.
um,
Me too.
so many just different thoughts. Gosh, we really should do this, each year because I think about all the change to rent to own. I hear people say finance a lot. What
Hmm.
does that just stick in your craw any whenever you hear finance and like how that
Yeah.
is related to rent to own? Like, have we
Yeah.
not done, like what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you're really not financing the transaction, you know. In fact, I'm working on something today where a bankruptcy case in Texas, and the customer's lawyer is trying to make some argument about it being a finance transaction, and it's not. It's a rent. It's a true rental uh, transaction. The customer rents the property. They just become the owner after 36, 48, whatever months. But what's critical in that is that they always maintain the option to terminate the agreement. There's your vital piece of information in your contract. Termination agreement. They're not obligated to continue to rent the shed or the property, and that's true. Really, going back to what we first started. Um, the transaction between a shed rent to own or a TV and appliance or car rims or whatever else they're doing, it's the same transaction. And it's the same, so it's not financed, and you need to avoid using that because it puts you in a different category of treatment for bankruptcy. It puts you in a different taxation type. I'm not a tax lawyer. I'm just told, but and so let's avoid that. Avoid that language. You're not financing it. You're renting it to the customer, and they have the option to own it or purchase it or just turn it in after 3 months and be done with it. So that's important for sure.
Yeah, I think that educational piece comes back into that conversation quickly and like
Yep.
whose responsibility is it to educate? Is it the rent own company's responsibility to educate their customer and then their customer's customer? So if it's a manufacturer and their dealer network, is it the manufacturer's
Mm-hmm.
responsibility? Because our dealer networks are so fragmented with a mixture of consignment versus wholesale and
Yep.
maybe two or three other type of models, like where does the burden of responsibility fall on so that the customer is getting the information? Of course they're signing the contract, but what
Yep.
responsibility do we have to ensure that they understand that contract? And I can only
Yep.
imagine these are conversations you have when you actually end up in a courtroom defending a contract. What advice can you give to a dealer today or to someone who doesn't play in the world that you do of high level legal conversation in regards to RTO contracts, buildings that are
Yeah.
put on RTO?
Well, I think first of all, to address the point of whose responsibility is it, I think it's all of ours. I think it's really um, a vital part that the association is going to play moving forward. That we, as an industry, have an idea of how the transaction should work, and in terms of what the transaction is. So we have our members who are members of the association who through coming to the conference and accessing the member portal come to have a greater understanding about some of the nuances of the transaction, and that they need to be passing that along to their dealers. We want dealers to come to the conference. We want dealers to be members. We want vendors to come and vendors to be members. All of this to funnel down to ultimately pass along to the customer, who fully understands the transaction and understands that we are providing a service that allows them to get property or a set of tires or whatever it is that maybe they couldn't otherwise get. So I think the idea is it funnels down from the top, and we being up here, I think the industry leaders, we're all at the top. So we all have to make sure that that information is getting down to everybody else out in the field. As far as to dealers and to manufacturers, we just, for me, it would be encouraging them to look into membership of the association, to come to the conference, to educate yourself on what you're doing, not just saying, oh yeah, we'll provide a rent-own, and whatever that is. You don't understand what you're really even providing. Yeah, we'll finance it, or but it's you have to see it as a service, I think. That's why I keep saying it. But
yeah,
and that's what you're doing. And so I find that in the past probably 3 or 4 years, a large part of my legal practice even has been that education piece. So I host, I'll host a training session on how to do X, Y, or Z, how to handle this bankruptcy, how to, kind of general sessions, because I want my clients to be able to have that information, to know what they can do on their own and what, the way things should happen, so that when a problem arises, you don't just immediately have to call and hire a lawyer. You have some knowledge and know what to do, how to handle it. And if something, say you have a list of 5 things, and if, at some point it falls off the rails, okay, well then maybe you need to call and talk to a lawyer. But that education piece is vital. And that's why I'm excited about where this the association's headed, because I think it's gonna make my job easier, which is great.
Yeah, you want that educational piece out there so that you don't end up dealing with these things later. I think you said it early in the call. I hope you don't have to call me unless it's just getting things established, as opposed to me having to defend any actions. That's always a sign of negativity, I guess, that but that's why you're here. That's why you provide a service. Where do you think it's going? I almost want to ask this question because I'm curious you have an answer to it. My primary question is, where do you think it's going? My secondary question is, just how much does rent to own prop up the industry, in your opinion? Like, is it a large section of contracts that are out there, and if so, will that have any effect like on the industry long term? But like, where do you think it's going? Maybe you can wrap all those up into one question that you can answer comprehensively.
That's a good question, and I hate to keep kind of throwing it back off on the association, but really, I mean, these are the questions that the board members have been asking themselves, and they want to know the size of the industry, the percentage of people involved with rent-to-own, the percentage of those people that are involved with the association. There hasn't been a real detailed analysis of, I think, the association as a whole, and to know, where we are now versus where we're going. And that's part of what we're excited to be doing. I think that where we're headed with the membership offerings conference is great. I think it'll continue to grow. I see my role, like I said, in the past 3 or 4 years, there's been almost a shift where, yes, I'm still doing a lot of what I've done for the past 10 years, but a greater emphasis on training customers, working with staff. Whereas, in years past, maybe something went wrong, I would just get an email saying, here's a file for you to handle, and please help us get this building back or whatever. Now I see a lot more management, internal, and helping groups like that, and helping them work on projects themselves. And I think you'll see more of that. I think there's room in the industry for the smaller, smaller groups where you just have a manufacturer who's wanting to sell or rent own sheds, and that's great. There's room in the industry for people that are working in 10 states. There's people that are working in 50 states. There's a place at the table for everybody. We're going to make the membership and the association work for all of those people. And we want it to be a group effort, because each of those people, the small one mom and pop store, I'd say, to the 50 states, have a lot to offer and different perspectives. And we want to have all of those perspectives in our industry and in our association. So, in that respect, I don't want to see too much change, because I like that there's different sizes, different groups. I like that there's a large collaboration from coast to coast. So I think that'll stay the same, and I expect it will, and I'm happy that it will, because it's good for all of us.
Who can be involved in rent to own? Nick, is there anybody that shouldn't be, can't be?
Well, we don't want well, I shouldn't say we don't want you. We don't. We want people that that want to serve their customers well and offer a service. It's not just a business opportunity. I mean, you got to see it as more than that. Anybody can be involved, obviously, and anybody's got a place at the table. But a bad lawyer spoils the good lawyers, and bad insurance claimants make the insurance industry look bad, and so we just we want people that want to be in the industry, and that see it as a way to help and to help others, and that's really what I think of. I mean, those people make the best businessmen and managers, and they make the best clients, and so everybody's welcome, and we want you to be involved.
Yeah, very good. Man, an hour goes by too fast, honestly, when we're talking. It just, there's so much conversation to be had. And I like to tell people being on the podcast is less intimidating than they may realize. We even invite, competitors on, even competitors in the rent-own space. We love to have good conversation, because I feel like, healthy debate and conversation and encourages us all. And like, I learned from that. And I think iron sharpens iron. I think others learn from that too. And to be able to put free content and conversation out there for people to listen to is always encouraging. So,
I agree.
We have an
it's
open mic for everybody.
well, it's bad lawyers make bad law. So it's the good lawyers, although they might challenge, they'll challenge you a little more. But it's you grow in a different way than if you're dealing with, somebody that didn't, is not as, it's not a great lawyer. I don't know. That may sound mean, but I'm open for that healthy, open, honest debate, and it makes us all better.
Yeah, absolutely. Any thoughts that you want to give? Like, we would definitely we'll link this maybe to the NSRA website, so that people know where to go. There's always on our newsletter, there's always a description of today's show. I'm assuming you want it to go there. We're happy to link it to your law practice if you would prefer that. Either way.
Yeah, happy for you too. That'd be great. Yeah. You've got my info and details. That'd be wonderful if you want to do that. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in Knoxville. It's a great opportunity to see everybody again, and it'll be a lot of fun. So I hope everybody comes. Hope new people come. So please reach out if you need anything from me in the meantime.
If anybody wants to know how to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
They can you can go to our website is wilkinspatterson.com, WILKINS PATTERSON.com. You can Google me, Nick Garrard. My number is 601-366-4343. That'll roll right to my cell phone if I'm not here. So call me, text me, whatever you need.
Perfect. Any final thoughts you want to share?
No, this has been fun. I'm always happy to answer questions. So I love this industry. I love the people that I work with. It's a privilege to represent them and the association. And it means a lot to me to be here and to do that. And I just am thankful for that. Thankful for your podcast, and just hope you continue to prosper and do well, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It really is a good industry to be in. As all industries are, they come with their fair share, of not fun. But overall, I've met some lifelong friends through this, and some people that really have inspired me to be better, to do better. Some very wise counsel, and like
I agree with that.
That's just that's really priceless at the end of the day. So any questions for me, podcast related, shed related, just anything at all? Always like to hit people up at the end of it and say, I spend a lot of time asking you questions. Do you have any questions?
What'd you have for lunch?
Yeah, you know what I had? I had Dairy Queen chicken strip basket. We have been going.
Hey, there we go.
We have been eating at home every single day. Me and my wife have been on this journey to focus on healthier eating, living, and all of that. And today I had 3 podcasts and a marketing call lined up, and I said, I'm not going to get away from the desk, aside from all other calls. And so she's like, I'll just run and get Dairy Queen real quick. So that's your Shed Geek on a Thursday afternoon and a rainy day here in Metropolis, Illinois. So that's
there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody needs a little Dairy Queen here and there.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it was fun as usual. Hang on here. I'll chat with you just before we get out of here, but I do want to say thank you for being on. Would love to make this a regular thing, maybe an annual thing where we can just discuss these things, and always happy to see what's happening in your world and the NSRA and all the RTO affiliates that you work with and stuff like that. It's a pleasure that we can even have this conversation, that people can come together for that purpose. So
I agree, and I'm happy to. I'll join you anytime. Just let me know.
appreciate it. Thank you, Nick.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks again, Shed Pro, for being the Shed Geeks studio sponsor for 2025. If you need any more information about Shed Pro or about Shed Geek, just reach out. You can reach us by email at info@shedgeek.com or just go to our website, www.shedgeek.com, and submit a form with your information, and we'll be in contact right away. Thank you again for listening, as always, to today's episode of the Shed Geek Podcast. Thank you and have a blessed day.